Hey guys, this is Nick Bratton with Bratton Sports Performance. Hey, so we're going to do something a little bit different this week. Each month I try and put out a couple of different blogs for you guys to review and look over and consume some of the information from them. But I understand that, with this busy world, that there are times where we just don't have the opportunity to sit down for 5, 10, 15 minutes to go through an article. And so I want to start to use more of a video in order to relay some of this content and this information, and hopefully it makes it a little more convenient for you guys. So my goal is to keep everything 3 to 5 minutes, kind of highlight the article, then if you want to go back to it and review it, you can at that point. So this week we're talking about Olympic lifting versus plyometric exercises and how they relate to speed development. So the first thing that I cover in the article is the difference between Olympic lifts and plyometrics. For those of you that aren't aware of what those are, an Olympic lifting is actually a sport in itself. It's comprised of the clean and jerk and the snatch. These movements are done for weight, based on your weight class, but they're also training tools that we can use within sports performance. And so as we go through these, we're really focused on, or I'm really focused on as a coach, our explosive hip extension, our ability to extend our hips quickly, which is going to transfer and translate to jumping, sprinting, our change of direction exercises. And so there's going to be a lot of carryover to what we do on the competition field from that explosiveness standpoint. Then we have plyometrics on the opposite side of it. So plyometrics, again, we're working on our explosiveness, but we also have the ability to work a couple of different joints. We have the ability to work different planes of movement. We also are able to be a little more creative. So this isn't limited to 1 or 2 exercises. It's something that we can do with a lot of different exercises and different planes of movement on 1 leg, 2 legs. Really, your imagination is the limiting factor here. And so as we break both of these down, I think that there's a positive and a negative to each of them. For Olympic lifting, I think the positive is we can create an extremely heavy external load, heavy based on what the body can handle without breaking down. And so by doing this, we can create a stimuli that's a little bit higher, and create a heavier adaptation, creating more force production as we go through the movement. Now, the limitation to Olympic lifts is that there's really only a couple of movements that we can go through, and their variations. We can't make a lot of adjustments to the force direction. We can't make a lot of adjustments as far as our body position as we go through it and relating it to the sport. And so we're limited a little bit from that capacity. Then you look at plyometrics. Plyometrics, we typically do just body weight, or maybe with a weight vest or light dumbbells, sometimes a medicine ball. They are great because we can manipulate the position. We can make it sport specific. We can do it based on what we're trying to get out of it. So if I'm working on someone's explosive hip extension, I might go into a traditional box jump. We might do broad jumps. There are a number of exercises that we can go through in order to hit specific areas. I can also adapt it based on what my desired outcome is. And so if I am working with an athlete and we want to improve our ability to change directions into a lateral position, well, then we can create a plyometric similar to like a lateral bound, creating lateral hops, different things like that, where we're working on our ability to get out to the side quickly and rotate our body. So plyometrics just give us that ability to create different drills and get into different planes of movement. But on the flip side, we're limited because we can't create large amounts of external load once we begin to master the exercise. So how does this relate to speed development? Well, I'm not an either or type of guy. This is something where we're going to use a little bit of both. We're going to use our Olympic lifts every day, or some variation of them every day, in our strength conditioning programs. And so if it's as simple as a kettlebell swing, or as complex as going through the entire snatch exercise, we're going to go through one of those, just working on our ability to get that explosive hip movement. We're also going to have our plyometrics in each day. Now, within those plyometric exercises, we're always going to have some type of ankle stiffness complex, where we're working on the rigidity of the ankle, our ability to spring back up and be reactive. Then typically on day one of the week, we're going to have some sort of vertical plyometric exercise, whereas on day two, we're going to have some type of horizontal or lateral exercise based on the sport that we're training for. Now, as we go through this, we're going to make it a little more complex. So we might start with bilateral or two-leg exercises, and then we'll move to unilateral or single-leg exercises. Like I said, we're also going to incorporate lateral movements and rotational movements, and sticking in unilateral positions, and trying to create some level of chaos and reactivity to it, because our goal is that we're training for that competition setting and improving for that. And so we want to become as game-like as possible. So as we prepare for sprinting or speed training in particular, I'm going to look for, again, those exercises that work on that ankle stiffness. I'm also going to look at exercises that create that explosive hip extension, typically with disassociation of the hips, and so our ability to extend at one hip while flexing on the other side, something like a hurdle hop or an alternate leg bound or something like that. And then from an Olympic lifting standpoint, our ability to just get into that explosive hip extension. And there are a lot of exercises that we'll use in a lot of different positions that we'll go from, whether we're going from a mid-thigh or above knee position all the way down to a floor position for some of our athletes. And it isn't necessarily always a clean or a snatch. Sometimes we're just going through a power shrug or a high pull. I believe the catch is important, but I don't know that the catch is important from a power development standpoint. It's more from a force absorption standpoint. And so when we talk about our ability to apply force, I'm really focused on that ability to get a good, strong, powerful pull. So both training tools are very important. They're just important for different reasons. The plyometrics, because of our ability to adapt and evolve based on the exercise or based on our training outcome. The Olympic lifts, based on our ability to increase our force production. So when we're talking about programs and implementing these, this is something that we need to have a little bit of both. And if there's something that you're not comfortable in coaching, well, then that gives us a reason to kind of stray away from it until we have a better grasp of it. But outside of that, there needs to be a balance of each of these within the program, while also maintaining a good balance of volume and intensity for both of them. So that's it for this first week on our video blog. And so, I hope you guys like this. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to either contact me, brattonsportsperf@gmail.com, put them down in the comments, get a hold of me on social media, whatever is best for you guys. So I'll catch you again here soon. Thanks.